Hello my dear students, and welcome once again to another video for our class in object-oriented programming. In this video, we will be utilizing some custom classes with hierarchical relations such that there is a parent class and then some child classes, and then bring them all together into one container using one of Java's collection classes. Specifically, we'll be using ArrayList, and then try to iterate over the list and access the objects inside of it. This is going to be fun, so let's get on with it. Alright, for this example, I will be using the IntelliJ IDEA, which is a very nice integrated development environment by JetBrains. And from here, of course, you can use your own, your favorite integrated development environment. Maybe you want to use the NetBeans, or you can even use just the Visual Studio Code editor if you want to. But in my case, I'll be using the IntelliJ IDEA. And from here, I'm going to create a new project. And this is going to be a Java project. Then I'll call this project collection demo. Should be collections demo, right? And then click on finish. Okay, so I'm here under the source folder. I'll start with creating a package where I can create this package demos, where we can put all our classes here. So first thing I'm going to create is the parent class. It's going to be a Java class, and this Java class is called a person. Alright, and this person is going to have some properties, of course. So the first property I'm going to be using would be the name of the person, the address of the person, should be just one R, and then the probably will have a float for the value of a person, if there's such a thing, or should I say net worth of the person. It should be net worth. Okay, and then we'll provide, of course, our set of getters and setters, as well as a constructor for this. So I'm gonna do generate. Of course, in NetBeans, you might want to do, I think it's also generate, or I'll do constructor, and I'll select all. I can select by control clicking on each element or each item on the list, and click on OK, and it creates it generates a constructor code. I'll also be generating some getters and setters, so I'll do getter and setter, and again shift click or control click on each item, so I'll be selecting them all. And now we have our setters and getters, as well as our constructor. And then finally, I'm gonna add a new method for introducing this particular person to the public by simply displaying a message and talking something about this particular person. So I call this public void introduce, and we'll be overriding this introduce method later on when we create our subclasses. But for now, for a person to introduce himself, we'll just have hello. My name is, and then followed by the name, followed by a space, and then age. Do we have an age? We don't have an age. Okay, so just immediately go with of, and then the address, my net worth is net worth, right? So that's simply how a person would introduce himself using all the attributes that we have defined for the class person. Next, we're going to create also some subclasses for this. We'll start with a student class. Of course, since this is a subclass, it's going to extend to person. And we'll be adding attributes for a student. So we'll have a private string and we'll be doing level. And another one, private string, and we'll be doing school name. Okay, and again we're gonna do constructors and setters and getters, and we'll be overriding the introduce method as well. So we do alt and insert, select constructor. We'll first what extends okay. For some reason, it's not detecting that it is part of the class person or a subclass of the class person. Supposedly, if we are going to do in a constructor, generate a constructor, we're supposed to have here a selection of what. Oh, okay. I think we're fine because there's only one constructor for the person. So I'll just select the specific attributes for the students and click on OK. And now it included the name, address, and net worth. So let me just bump this down. And also called upon the constructor of the superclass, which initiates the name, address, and net worth. And finally, not finally, but next, we're going to do setters and getters for both level and school name. And then at the end, we'll have override method for the introduce method. And here, it will introduce itself as a person, but will also introduce other, will also mention other facts about this particular entity based on the additional attributes, which is the level and the school name, since this is a student. So we'll do I am let's just say I study at, and then the school name at the, and then the level. Again, let's bump this down. So there's our student. And one more, we'll add another class, which will be another subclass of the class person. It's gonna be an employee. So for an employee, we will also be extending the class person. But here we're gonna include a string for position, and another string for company name, and finally we'll have a float for salary rate. And again, we're gonna do constructor for it, and we'll select all of them. And let's just bump this down for a bit. Okay, and then here we do the getters and setters. Click on OK, and at the end of it we'll have our override for introduce. And aside from introducing as a person, it will also introduce himself as an employee. So let's say I work at address, then position at company name with a rate of, and then we do salary rate like that. All right, so those are all our three classes. One is a superclass and two are subclasses. Now we'll create a new class. This will be our main class, which will contain, of course, our main method. And in here, let's try using our three classes first before we do put it on a collection class. So first, let's create a person. Let's say P1 is equal to, let me close this up, new person, and we'll have a name of Andrea de la Torre, of address would be Metro Manila, and then we'll have net worth of say 67,800,000. All right, and let's also create an employee. We'll have E1. It's custom employee. This employee's name is, say, Harry Roach of Cebu City, with a net worth of, say, 23,900,000, with at the position of branch manager, having a, what's next is company name. Let's say Do Exam Inc. And salary, salary rate of, say, 2,300. All right. So let's bump this down, and then this one, just to make it more visible. And finally, we'll have a student, S1 is equal to new student, and the student's name is Elmer Brandilio of Tubigon, Bohol, with a net worth of only 120,000. A college student at Mater Dei College. Again, let's bump this down. All right, so there you go. We have three objects, P1, E1, and S1, and we can call the introduce methods for all of them. Let's do P1 dot introduce, also E1 dot introduce, and S1 dot introduce, and try to run this program. All right. So here we have the output of our program. Hello, my name is Andrea del Torre of Metro Manila. My net worth is, and it's written like that. Let's change that. Let's go to the person. Where's the net worth? There you go. We'll do string that format, and we'll do percent comma dot to f. All right, let's run again. All right, there you go. 67,600,800,000. Okay. So finally, let's do what we came here to do, which is to add or to put these objects inside of a collection class and then iterate across them. So let's just leave that there. But what we can do here is we're going to create an array list. So we do array list and press enter so that it will be imported. And this array list is going to have person as the type of objects that is going to be placed inside. And since the person is the superclass, then we could include in there, through the power of polymorphism, we can include even those that are subclasses of person. So we can also include into the array list of person an employee object as well as a student object. So we call this people, like so. All right. So the way we can add contents into an array list or to any collection classes for that matter is by calling the add method. So for example, if we add this person one here into the list, we can say people.add and then we pass in p1. So let's also add the employee. So people that add e1 and also people that add s1. All right. So now we have placed all these three objects into our people array or array list. Array list is one of the collection classes in Java. And now let's try and iterate across the people list and call the introduce for all the objects inside of it. So we can do this using typical for loop. So we say for, and then we define an object or a person that is going to be our reference to every single item in the list. So just call this P, and the list is called people. And inside, we're simply going to call P dot introduce. And just to give it a space in between them, we'll just have a print line of a blank. And before here, let me also add introducing the people. Okay, like so. All right, so now let's try and run this program. So as you can see here, we have the three introductions of our three objects. And remember, this is a person, this one is an employee, and this one is a student. And they are all added inside of an array list of persons. And this is possible because person is the superclass and employees and students are subclasses of person. And through the power of polymorphism, you can put them inside a list of persons. Now, aside from that, we can also use the collections class in order to add items into our array list. For example, we can call collections like that, and you can call dot addAll, and just provide here the collection, which is the people. Oops. And then here we can provide a list of person or objects of their subclasses. For example, we can do new person here. You can new up a person here and say John Rambo of Thailand, and his net worth is 4 million. Okay, can do that. And once you do that, it will now be added into the people as well. And the great thing about this is you can actually add more. Like for example, let's add another student here. Right, like so. So we'll have Marie Rich of Cebu City, a net worth of 50,000. And what's next? We'll have a college student, and the school is UCLM. All right. So there you go. As you can see, we just separate every single object with a comma, and you're able to add more in using the addAll method from the collections class. So if you run this, we now have additional contents aside from the ones that we had. So now we have this person, John Rambo, and this student, Marie Rich. Also, if we can also add all, and instead of putting inside objects or instances separated by comma, can also put here an array. For example, if we create an array of person here, say additional, and we put inside of here those two that just created earlier, and we add it here, we say additional, that is also possible. You can also do that. So in this case here, we are using the addAll method of the collections class, and we added an array of person. So this array of person will be added into the list. And so if we are actually going to run this again, you have the same output. There you go. So we have the additional person of John Rambo and the additional student of Mary Rich. Okay, so that is all for this video. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have understood the lessons that we are tackling in this video, and see you again in the next one. Bye bye.